Elena Rodriguez thought she was sharing the happiest moment of her life. At 52, after years of failed relationships and heartbreak, she had finally found her soulmate. The photo she posted at 11:47 p.m. on October 15, 2023, showed pure joy. Her radiant smile next to Marcus, her new husband of just 6 hours. But by 12:30 a.m. the next morning, that same photo would become evidence in a murder investigation. What Elena didn't know was that her innocent act of sharing joy with the world had just signed her death warrant. The question that haunts this case is chilling. Can love become so possessive that sharing it with others becomes deadly? I'm your host, and today we're examining a story that will make you question everything you think you know about the person sleeping next to you. But before we dive into this tragic tale, if you're new to this channel, we cover the most compelling true crime cases with the respect and detail they deserve. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because we post new cases every week. And I have to warn you, this story contains some disturbing content, so viewer discretion is advised. Phoenix, Arizona, 2023. The desert sun beats down on a city of dreams, where people come to reinvent themselves, to build new lives, to escape their past. For Elena Rodriguez, Phoenix represented everything she had worked for since arriving from Colombia 27 years earlier. At 25, Elena had stepped off a plane at Sky Harbor Airport with barely $200 in her pocket, a basic understanding of English, and a determination that burned brighter than the Arizona sun. She started as a hotel housekeeper, working double shifts, sending money back to her family in Bogota while saving every penny she could. But Elena was different. She watched, she learned, she asked questions. How did the cleaning supply orders work? Who decided the schedules? What made some hotels cleaner than others? Within 5 years, she had convinced 3 hotel managers to let her start her own cleaning crew. By 2023, Elena Rodriguez Cleaning Services employed over 40 people and serviced some of the most prestigious office buildings in Phoenix. Her success story was the American dream personified. She had a beautiful home in Scottsdale, a daughter she had put through college, and the respect of her community. But there was one thing missing from Elena's carefully constructed life: love. Elena's first marriage had been young and naive, to her high school sweetheart back in Colombia before she emigrated. That ended when he couldn't handle her ambitions. Her second marriage, to an American businessman she met in her 30s, crumbled under the weight of his drinking and her growing success. He couldn't stand being married to a woman who made more money than him. My mother always said love would find her when she was ready. Elena's daughter Sophia would later tell investigators. She never stopped believing in it, even after 2 divorces. She said, love was worth the risk. At 52, Elena had almost given up on finding that kind of love. Her business consumed most of her time, and the dating scene felt impossible to navigate. She had tried online dating, been set up by friends, even joined a salsa dancing class, hoping to meet someone. Nothing clicked. That's what made meeting Marcus Williams feel like fate. March 2023. Elena was having dinner at her favorite restaurant when Marcus approached her table. He was 48, well-dressed in an expensive suit, with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes that seemed to see right through her usual defenses. "I'm sorry to interrupt," he had said, "but I couldn't help noticing you're reading Think and Grow Rich. That's one of my favorite books." What followed was a 3-hour conversation that felt like minutes. Marcus claimed to work in business consulting, helping small companies expand their operations. He spoke knowledgeably about entrepreneurship, about the challenges of building something from nothing. He understood Elena's drive, her sacrifices, her dreams. He was everything I thought I wanted. Elena confided to her sister Carmen the next day. Successful, mature, interested in my business, my culture, my story. He didn't seem intimidated by me. But there were things about Marcus that didn't quite add up, peculiarities that Elena's successful business instincts should have caught. He never invited her to his apartment, claiming he was renovating. He paid for everything in cash, saying he preferred to keep his finances simple. And he was strangely insistent about keeping their relationship off social media. "I'm a private person," Marcus would say whenever Elena suggested taking photos together. "I prefer to keep my personal life personal." Elena, who had built her business partly through social media marketing and had 15,000 followers who followed her entrepreneurial journey, found this odd. But she was so happy to have found love that she dismissed these red flags as quirks. What Elena didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that Marcus Williams wasn't even his real name. The man she was falling in love with was a ghost, a carefully constructed identity, hiding a violent past that stretched across multiple states. Before we continue with Elena's story, I want you to think about this. How well do you really know the people in your life? What would you do if someone you loved asked you to keep your relationship secret? Have you ever ignored red flags because you wanted something to work out? Share your thoughts in the comments below. October 15th, 2023. Elena Rodriguez woke up at sunrise, believing it was the beginning of her happily ever after. After 8 months of dating, Marcus had proposed with a beautiful vintage ring, and Elena had said yes without hesitation. She had chosen a small ceremony. Just 20 close friends and family members at a boutique hotel in downtown Phoenix. Elena's sister Carmen flew in from Los Angeles. Her daughter Sophia took time off work, and her closest friends from the business community gathered to celebrate. Elena was glowing that morning. Carmen later told police, "I hadn't seen her that happy since Sophia graduated college. She kept saying, 'I finally found him, Carmen. I finally found my person.'" But something was off with Marcus from the moment the day began. Elena's hairdresser later reported that he seemed agitated, checking his phone constantly and snapping at the hotel staff over minor details. "The bride was radiant," said Maria Santos, Elena's hairdresser of 10 years, "but the groom, something about him made me uncomfortable. He kept pacing, looking out the windows like he was expecting trouble." At 11 a.m., during the final preparations, Marcus received a phone call that made his face go white. He stepped outside to take it, and when he returned, his hands were shaking. "Baby, is everything okay?" Elena asked, adjusting his tie. "Just work stuff," Marcus replied, but Elena's sister Carmen noticed sweat beading on his forehead despite the air conditioning. The ceremony itself was beautiful. Elena had written her own vows, speaking about second chances and never giving up on love. Marcus's vows were shorter, more traditional, but his voice was steady as he promised to love and protect Elena for the rest of their lives. Looking back, those words feel like a threat now, Sophia would later say. Protect her from what? From whom? The first real sign of trouble came during the photo session. The wedding photographer, Jake Mitchell, was capturing candid moments when he made an innocent suggestion. "These are beautiful shots," Jake said, reviewing his camera. "I'd love to post a few on my Instagram portfolio, with your permission, of course. They'd be perfect for my wedding photography showcase." Marcus's reaction was immediate and alarming. His face flushed red, and he grabbed Jake's arm hard enough to leave marks. "No photos go anywhere without my approval," Marcus said, his voice a low growl that made everyone nearby stop talking. "Do you understand me? Nowhere." Elena was mortified. In front of their guests, her new husband had just threatened their photographer over something as simple as portfolio photos. "Marcus, honey, what's wrong?" Elena asked, trying to smooth over the awkward moment. I value our privacy," Marcus said, his composure returning, but his eyes still cold. "This is our day, not content for social media." Jake nervously agreed to keep all photos private, but the damage was done. The wedding party exchanged uncomfortable glances, and Elena's joy was clouded by confusion and embarrassment. The reception continued, but guests later reported that Marcus seemed to be watching Elena constantly. Every time she laughed with friends, every time she hugged a family member, every time she mentioned their future plans, Marcus was there, listening, monitoring. "It was like he was afraid she was going to say something wrong," said Elena's business partner, David Chen. "I've been to a lot of weddings, but I've never seen a groom so tense during his own reception." Marcus was also drinking heavily, wine during dinner, then switching to whiskey as the evening wore on. Elena tried to pace him, but he brushed off her concerns. By 11 p.m., most of the guests had left. Elena and Marcus retired to their honeymoon suite on the hotel's top floor, a beautiful room overlooking the Phoenix skyline that Elena had booked months in advance. Elena was exhausted, but happy. Despite the strange moments during the day, she was married to the man she loved. She had built a successful business, raised a wonderful daughter, and now she had found her life partner. That's when Elena made the decision that would cost her life. Sitting on the edge of the hotel bed, still in her wedding dress, Elena pulled out her phone. She scrolled through the photos Jake had taken, finding the perfect one. Her and Marcus cutting their wedding cake, both smiling, her hand over his on the knife. "I have to share this," Elena said to Marcus, who was loosening his tie. "My followers have been with me through everything. Building the business, raising Sophia, all the ups and downs. They should see that I found happiness." Elena crafted the perfect caption. "Today, I married my best friend and soulmate. After 2 failed marriages and years of focusing on work, I thought love had passed me by. But sometimes, the best things come when you least expect them. Here's to forever." Wedding day, new beginning, love wins. She hit post at exactly 11:47 p.m. Within seconds, her phone exploded with notifications, hearts, congratulations, crying happy face emojis. Her business community, her family back in Colombia, her daughter's friends, her cleaning service employees. Everyone was celebrating with her. Elena turned to Marcus with a huge smile, ready to share the excitement of all the love pouring in from around the world. But when she saw his face, her blood ran cold. Marcus was staring at her with an expression she had never seen before, rage so intense it made him look like a completely different person. "What?" he said slowly, each word dripping with menace. "Did you just do?" Before we continue with Elena's story, let me tell you about today's sponsor. Elena stared at her new husband, confused by the transformation she was witnessing. The man who had been gentle and loving for 8 months had become someone she didn't recognize. I posted our wedding photo," Elena said, her voice small and uncertain. "People are congratulating us. Look at all these sweet messages." Marcus snatched the phone from her hands so violently that Elena gasped. His fingers flew across the screen, his face getting redder by the second as he read the comments, saw the shares, watched the post spread across social media. "Take it down," he demanded, his voice a low growl Elena had never heard before. "Take it down right now." "Marcus, I don't understand. Elena said, reaching for her phone. "It's just a wedding photo. We look happy. Why are you... You don't understand what you've done." Marcus exploded, turning the phone screen toward her. "Look at this. Look how many people have seen it. Look how many shares." Elena could see the post had already received over 20 likes and 50 comments in just 15 minutes. Her followers were sharing it, tagging friends, spreading joy. To Elena, it was beautiful, her community celebrating her happiness. To Marcus, it was his worst nightmare coming true. 47 shares, Elena. 47. Do you know what that means? Elena didn't know what that meant. She tried to laugh it off, still hoping this was just wedding stress or too much alcohol. "Honey, you're scaring me. It's just social media. People are happy for us." Marcus's hands were shaking as he deleted the post, but they both knew it was too late. Screenshots had been taken. Shares had already spread the image beyond Elena's immediate followers. The photo was out in the digital world, and there was no pulling it back. "You shouldn't have done this," Marcus muttered, more to himself than to Elena. "This ruins everything. Everything." What Elena didn't know was that at that very moment, 300 miles away in San Diego, Detective Sarah Chen was staring at her phone screen in disbelief. Detective Chen had been following Elena's business journey on social media for months. As a fellow entrepreneur who ran a small consulting business on the side, Chen found Elena's story inspiring. When the wedding photo popped up in her feed, Chen had smiled and hit like without thinking. But something about the groom's face nagged at her. Chen screenshotted the photo and enlarged it on her laptop. The man looked familiar, but she couldn't place where she'd seen him. On a hunch, she opened her work computer and accessed the database of open cases. "No way," Chen whispered to herself as she ran the photo through facial recognition software. The match came back 94% positive. The man in Elena's wedding photo was Michael Thompson, wanted in connection with the aggravated assault and attempted murder of his ex-girlfriend, Jessica Martinez, in San Diego 3 years earlier. Chen immediately tried calling the Phoenix Police Department, but it was past midnight on a Sunday. She left urgent messages with dispatch and tried to find contact information for Elena, but Elena's social media accounts didn't include a phone number. Meanwhile, back in the honeymoon suite, the argument was escalating. "Marcus, please help me understand," Elena pleaded, still in her wedding dress, but now feeling vulnerable and exposed. "If you didn't want me posting about us, you should have said something before. We've been together 8 months. I post about everything in my life." "That's the problem," Marcus shouted, startling Elena. "You put everything online. Your business, your family, your location, your schedule. Do you know how dangerous that is?" Elena was getting angry now. This was her wedding night, and her husband was screaming at her about social media. "Dangerous? Marcus, I'm a businesswoman. Social media is how I built my company. My followers trust me. They support me. They're like family." "Family?" Marcus laughed bitterly. "You don't even know who's watching you. You have no idea who's out there, what they might want, what they might do." Elena's phone buzzed with a Facebook message notification. Marcus lunged for the phone, but Elena was faster, grabbing it first. The message was from someone named Jessica Martinez. "I think your husband might be someone else. Please be careful. I'm in San Diego. Call me." Elena's blood went cold as she read the message. She looked up at Marcus, who had gone completely pale. "Who's Jessica Martinez?" Elena asked quietly. For a moment, Marcus said nothing. Then his face transformed again, this time into something Elena recognized from her business dealings: cold calculation. Show me the phone, Elena. No. Who is Jessica Martinez? How does she know you? Marcus moved toward Elena, his movements deliberate and threatening. Elena backed toward the bathroom, phone clutched in her hands. Marcus, you're scaring me. Please just talk to me. Who is this woman? Give me the phone, Elena. Not until you tell me what's going on. Another message popped up from Jessica. His real name is Michael Thompson. He nearly killed me. He's dangerous. Get somewhere safe and call the police. Elena's hands started shaking as she read the words. She looked up at the man she had married just hours earlier, really looked at him. The kind eyes that had drawn her in now seemed calculating. The gentle smile that had made her feel safe now looked predatory. Your name isn't Marcus, is it? Elena whispered. The man she had married smiled, but there was no warmth in it anymore. You really should have kept this private, Elena. What I'm about to tell you contains descriptions of violence. While I'll be respectful in my reporting, this case involves domestic violence and murder. If you need to skip ahead, timestamps are in the description. At 12:28 a.m. on October 16th, hotel guests on the floor below the honeymoon suite reported hearing screaming. The Phoenix Fire Department later determined that the sounds lasted approximately 8 minutes. Elena Rodriguez fought for her life. The medical examiner's report, which I've reviewed, indicates that Elena initially tried to defend herself using items from the hotel room. Her phone was found with a cracked screen from being thrown against the wall. The bathroom door showed evidence of forced entry. What we know from the evidence is that Marcus, whose real name was Michael Thompson, had planned this violence the moment Elena posted that photo. Hotel security footage from the hallway shows him leaving the room at 12:36 a.m., carrying a large duffel bag. Michael's plan was calculated and cruel. He had staged the scene to look like a robbery gone wrong, destroying the hotel room and removing Elena's jewelry and purse. But his years of hiding had made him sloppy. He left behind evidence that would ultimately convict him. The first person to find Elena was hotel security guard Robert Martinez, no relation to Jessica Martinez in San Diego. At 1:15 a.m., Roberto was responding to noise complaints when he noticed the honeymoon suite door was slightly ajar. I knocked and called out, Roberto later testified. When nobody answered, I used my master key. The room was destroyed, furniture overturned, papers everywhere. At first I thought it was just property damage. Roberto called the police immediately, but it wasn't until officers arrived that they found Elena's body in the bathroom. She had tried to barricade herself inside, but the door had been forced open. Detective Maria Rodriguez, no relation to Elena, arrived on scene at 1:45 a.m. With 20 years of experience investigating violent crimes, Rodriguez immediately knew this wasn't a random robbery. The scene was staged, Detective Rodriguez later explained in court testimony. Real robbers don't destroy hotel rooms. They take valuables and leave. This was personal. The most crucial piece of evidence was found clutched in Elena's hand, her cell phone. Despite the cracked screen, the device still worked. When crime scene technicians unlocked it, they found something that would break the case wide open. In her final moments, Elena had managed to take a photograph. The image was blurry, but clear enough to identify her attacker. Michael Thompson's face was clearly visible, along with distinctive features: a scar above his left eyebrow and a tattoo on his neck that read, "Forever Free." But there was more. Elena's phone contained her entire conversation with Jessica Martinez, including Jessica's warnings about Michael's real identity and violent past. By 3 a.m., Michael Thompson, alias Marcus Williams, was the subject of a multi-state manhunt. His photo was distributed to every law enforcement agency in the Southwest, along with all known aliases and a detailed description of his vehicle. Detective Rodriguez coordinated with the FBI's Violent Criminal Apprehension Program. This wasn't just a local murder case anymore. It was a manhunt for a serial predator who had been evading justice for years. News of Elena's murder sent shockwaves through Phoenix's business community. Elena Rodriguez Cleaning Services employed 42 people, many of them single mothers and immigrants like Elena herself. "She gave us all hope," said Maria Gonzalez, one of Elena's first employees. "She showed us we could build something, be something. For someone to take her away like this, it's unforgivable." Vigils were held across the city. Elena's daughter Sophia, devastated by grief, made a public plea for information about her mother's killer. "My mother believed in love," Sophia said through tears. "She believed people were good. She didn't deserve this. Please help us find who did this to her." But Michael Thompson had a significant head start and decades of experience running from the law. His abandoned rental car was found at a truck stop in New Mexico, and security footage showed him getting into an 18-wheeler heading toward the Mexican border. Border Patrol agents in El Paso were alerted, but Michael had obtained fake identification under yet another name, David Rodriguez, an ironic choice given his victim's surname. At 6 a.m. on October 16th, just 5 hours after Elena's murder, Michael came within minutes of crossing into Mexico. A sharp-eyed Border Patrol agent noticed discrepancies in his documentation and detained him for secondary inspection. But Michael's fake ID was sophisticated enough to pass the basic checks, and he was released after an hour-long delay. By 7 a.m., he had disappeared into the sprawling border city of Juarez. The investigation now required international cooperation. FBI agents worked with Mexican Federal Police and Interpol to track Michael's movements across a country where American fugitives often disappear forever. Detective Rodriguez knew time was running out. Every hour that passed made it less likely they would find Michael, and more likely he would find another victim. "Men like this don't stop," Rodriguez explained to Elena's family. "They keep moving, keep hunting, keep destroying lives. We have to catch him before he hurts someone else." But Elena Rodriguez would have one final impact on the case that would bring her killer to justice. The wedding photo that had triggered her murder would become the key to solving it. While Michael Thompson believed he had successfully disappeared into Mexico, Detective Rodriguez's investigation was revealing the staggering scope of his deception. What they discovered was not just a man with a violent past, but a sophisticated predator who had been perfecting his methods for over a decade. The breakthrough came when Detective Sarah Chen from San Diego finally connected with the Phoenix investigation. Chen's facial recognition hit on Elena's wedding photo had been the first crack in Michael's carefully constructed facade. "I've been hunting this man for 3 years," Chen told Detective Rodriguez during their first phone call. "He nearly killed my victim, Jessica Martinez, then vanished completely. We thought he was dead." Chen shared her case files, and the pattern became clear. Michael Thompson, who had used at least 7 different identities, specialized in targeting successful, independent women. His method was always the same: charm them, gain their trust, then either rob them or, when they became a threat to his anonymity, eliminate them. Jessica was lucky, Chen explained. She survived, but barely. He beat her so severely she was in a coma for 2 weeks, and all because she posted a photo of them together on Instagram. The investigators reached out to women across 4 states who had reported similar relationships with men matching Michael's description. Sarah Martinez in Denver, Linda Johnson in Albuquerque, Patricia Williams in Tucson, all successful businesswomen, all charmed by a mysterious man who insisted on privacy, all robbed or assaulted when the relationship ended. He made me feel like I was the most important person in the world, Sarah Martinez told investigators via video call. Right up until he cleaned out my bank accounts and disappeared. I was embarrassed, so I never reported it. I wish I had. Each victim's story added pieces to the puzzle. Michael would target women through dating apps, upscale restaurants, business conferences, anywhere successful women gathered. He would spend weeks or months building trust, learning their routines, gaining access to their finances. He was methodical, FBI profiler Dr. Amanda Foster explained. These weren't crimes of passion. They were planned, calculated attacks on women who represented everything he felt entitled to but couldn't achieve legitimately. The most shocking revelation came when investigators dug into Michael's true background. His real name was Michael Allen Thompson, and he had been raised in foster care after his mother abandoned him at age 7. Multiple families had tried to adopt him, but his behavioral problems, including violence against animals and younger children, made him unadoptable. By age 16, he was aging out of the system, with no family, no support, and a deep resentment towards successful people, Dr. Foster continued. He spent his adult life trying to take what he felt others didn't deserve. Meanwhile, the international manhunt was gaining momentum. Elena's murder had generated significant media coverage, partly because of the social media angle that resonated with people worldwide. Her wedding photo, the image that had led to her death, was now being shared millions of times as people searched for her killer. The hashtag #JusticeForElena began trending on multiple platforms. Business owners, immigrants, single mothers, and people who had followed Elena's inspiring journey demanded answers. The case had touched a nerve about the dangers of dating and the vulnerability of sharing our lives online. Mexican authorities, responding to international pressure and significant cooperation from the FBI, assigned their best investigators to the case. Federal Police Commander Carlos Mendoza personally oversaw the search in border cities where American fugitives typically tried to blend in. This man represents the worst kind of predator, Commander Mendoza told Mexican media. He uses charm and manipulation to destroy innocent lives. We will find him. The break came from an unexpected source, Elena's own social media presence. A bartender in Ensenada, Mexico, recognized Michael's face from Elena's wedding photo, which had been shared over 50,000 times across various platforms. I remembered the picture because it was such a beautiful wedding photo, bartender Carmen Flores later testified. The bride looked so happy. When I saw the same man drinking alone at my bar, acting nervous and paying with American cash, I knew something was wrong. Carmen called the tip line that had been established, and within hours, Mexican federal police had surrounded the small hotel where Michael was staying. But he wasn't going to surrender quietly. Michael spotted the police vehicles from his hotel room window and escaped through a back exit, leaving behind a bag containing fake identification documents for 3 different identities and over $8,000 in cash, likely from previous victims. He was always one step ahead, Detective Rodriguez said. But running was becoming harder. Elena's photo was everywhere, and people were watching. What made this manhunt different was the community involvement. Elena's story had resonated far beyond Phoenix. Women's business groups, immigrant communities, and domestic violence advocates had joined the search, sharing Michael's photo and information across their networks. Sophia, Elena's daughter, had become an unexpected spokesperson for the investigation. My mother built her success by helping others, Sophia said, during a press conference. Now it's time for others to help catch her killer. Someone out there has seen this man. Someone knows where he is. The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit created a detailed profile predicting Michael's next moves. He would avoid major cities, stick to cash transactions, and likely try to establish a new identity in a small town where he could blend in. He's been doing this for years, explained FBI agent Jennifer Walsh. But Elena's case is different. The photo evidence, the digital trail, the international attention, he's never faced this level of scrutiny. As the investigation entered its sixth day, agents were closing in. Financial records showed Michael had withdrawn large amounts of cash from ATMs using stolen credit cards. Hotel registrations under his known aliases were flagged across Mexico. But the key would be Elena's wedding photo one more time. The image that had led to her death would ultimately lead to justice. On October 21st, 6 days after Elena's murder, a hotel clerk in Puerto Vallarta was scrolling through Facebook when she saw the wedding photo shared in a local community group. The man in the image looked exactly like the guest who had checked in that morning under the name David Martinez. Her call to authorities would end Michael Thompson's run from justice once and for all. October 21st, 2023. 6 days after Elena Rodriguez's murder, Michael Thompson's luck finally ran out in the coastal city of Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. At 11 a.m. local time, Mexican federal police surrounded the Hotel Pacifico, a modest beachfront establishment where Michael had checked in using stolen identification. The operation was swift and coordinated, with backup from local police and FBI agents who had flown in from Phoenix. The arrest was captured on police body cam footage. When officers breached his hotel room door, they found Michael sitting on the edge of the bed, staring out at the ocean. He didn't resist, didn't run, didn't fight back. "It's over," he said simply, as handcuffs were placed on his wrists. For the first time in his adult life, Michael Thompson had nowhere left to run. The man who had spent years hiding behind fake identities and carefully constructed lies was finally forced to face the truth about what he had done. The extradition process took 2 weeks, during which Michael was held in a Mexican federal facility. During this time, investigators from multiple states interviewed him about his other victims, trying to piece together the full scope of his crimes. It was during these interviews that Michael made partial confessions that would chill even experienced investigators. "She was going to ruin everything," Michael said about Elena, his voice flat and emotionless. "I spent 3 years building a new life, and she destroyed it with one photo. She should have listened when I told her to keep things private." Detective Rodriguez, who conducted several of these interviews, later described Michael's complete lack of remorse. He wasn't sorry that Elena was dead, Rodriguez testified at trial. He was angry that he got caught. He blamed her for posting the photo, blamed her for being too public, blamed her for everything except his own actions. Michael's defense team, appointed by the court, faced an impossible task. The evidence against him was overwhelming. DNA found at the crime scene, the photo Elena had taken of her attacker, testimony from multiple previous victims, and his own partial confessions. The prosecution, led by Maricopa County District Attorney Sarah Williams, built a methodical case that painted Michael as a serial predator who had escalated from financial crimes to murder. The trial lasted 3 weeks and drew national attention. Elena's family attended every day, often wearing pins with her photo and holding signs reading "Justice for Elena" and "Love should not be silent." The most powerful moment came during victim impact statements. Sofia Rodriguez, Elena's daughter, addressed the court with a statement that brought many spectators to tears. "My mother posted that wedding photo because she was proud to love someone," Sophia said, her voice steady despite her grief. She had worked so hard, overcome so much, and finally found happiness. That happiness should have been treasured, not punished with death. Sophia continued, looking directly at Michael, who stared straight ahead without emotion. "You didn't just kill my mother. You killed her dreams, her future, her chance to be a grandmother. You killed the hope she gave to 42 employees who looked up to her. You killed the joy she brought to everyone who knew her." Other victims also testified. Jessica Martinez, the San Diego woman who had survived Michael's previous attack, spoke about the lasting trauma of his violence. "He doesn't see women as people," Jessica said. "We're objects to him, things to be used, controlled, and discarded when we become inconvenient." Elena's only crime was being happy and wanting to share that happiness. After deliberating for just 4 hours, the jury returned with their verdict: guilty of first-degree murder, aggravated assault, fraud, and multiple counts of identity theft. As the verdict was read, Michael showed no emotion. He stared straight ahead with the same cold indifference he had displayed throughout the trial, even as Elena's family wept with relief behind him. Judge Patricia Hernandez sentenced Michael Thompson to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 50 years for his other crimes. "Mr. Thompson," Judge Hernandez said, "you are a predator who spent years perfecting the art of deception and violence. Elena Rodriguez deserved to live, to love, and to share her joy with the world. Your selfishness and cruelty have robbed us all of a remarkable woman." Michael was transferred to the Arizona State Prison Complex in Florence, where he remains in protective custody. He has shown no remorse and has refused all requests for interviews. But Elena's story didn't end with her killer's conviction. Her death had sparked something larger, a movement to protect others from similar predators. Elena Rodriguez's murder led to significant changes that continue to protect people today. The Arizona legislature passed the Elena Rodriguez Act in 2024, requiring dating platforms to conduct enhanced background checks and provide safety resources to users. Elena's case showed us that social media can be both a weapon and a shield, explained State Representative Maria Santos, who sponsored the legislation. "We can't prevent all predators, but we can make it harder for them to hide." Elena's cleaning business was converted into the Elena Rodriguez Foundation, which provides business loans and mentorship to domestic violence survivors starting their own companies. Sophia runs the foundation alongside her own career as a social worker specializing in trauma recovery. "My mother always said business was about lifting others up," Sophia explained. "The foundation lets her continue doing that, even though she's gone." The foundation has helped over 200 women start businesses, creating more than 800 jobs in the Phoenix area. Elena's original employees formed the core of the foundation's board of directors. "She's still helping us," said Maria Gonzalez, now the foundation's operations director. "Elena taught us we could be more than we thought possible. Now, we teach that to others." Elena's case also changed how many people approach online dating and social media sharing. Safety advocates use her story to educate others about recognizing red flags in relationships. Dr. Amanda Foster, the FBI profiler who worked Elena's case, now speaks at conferences about relationship safety. Elena's story teaches us that love should never require silence, Dr. Foster explains. "If someone demands you hide your relationship, asks you to limit your social connections, or becomes angry when you share happy moments, these are serious warning signs." The case resonated particularly strongly because it highlighted the complex relationship between social media and personal safety. Elena's wedding photo had been both the trigger for her murder and the key to solving it. Social media isn't inherently dangerous, explained digital safety expert Dr. James Chen. But Elena's case reminds us to trust our instincts when someone's desire for privacy feels controlling rather than protective. Today, a memorial garden in downtown Phoenix honors Elena's memory. The centerpiece is a bronze statue of Elena holding cleaning supplies in one hand and a graduation cap in the other, representing her journey from immigrant housekeeper to successful businesswoman. The inscription reads, Elena Rodriguez. She believed in the American dream and made it possible for others. Elena's story forces us to confront difficult questions about love, trust, and safety in the digital age. Should she have respected Marcus's wishes for privacy? Was sharing her joy worth the risk? How do we balance openness with protection? What do you think? Have you ever ignored red flags in a relationship because you wanted it to work? How do you balance sharing your life online with staying safe? What would you have done in Elena's situation? If this case touched you, please share Elena's story. The more people who recognize these warning signs, the fewer victims there will be. Subscribe to this channel for more cases that matter and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Next week, we're covering the case of the Instagram stalker, a man who used social media algorithms to hunt his victims across multiple states. It's a case that will make you rethink everything you post online. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, help is available. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7 at 1-800-799-7233. You can also text START to 887888 or visit thehotline.org. Elena Rodriguez believed that sharing joy multiplies it, that success means nothing if you can't lift others up with you, and that love should make you feel free, not afraid. She was right about all of those things. Let's honor her memory by staying vigilant, supporting each other, and never letting fear stop us from celebrating the good things in our lives. Elena would want us to keep sharing our joy, just safely. Thank you for watching, and remember, if you see something, say something. Elena's story proves that communities can catch predators when we work together. Rest in peace, Elena Rodriguez. Your light continues to shine through everyone you've inspired.